Parliament has approved the formation of a select committee to tackle deliberate online falsehoods. All 80 MPs present, including opposition members, unanimously supported the move.
In Parliament, the Home Affairs and Law Minister warned that Singapore is highly susceptible to deliberate online falsehoods and cited 3 reasons for this. Firstly, Singapore is said to have a high internet penetration. 91% of Singaporean households have access to the internet. This means it can be easy to spread online falsehoods. Secondly, given Singapore's racial and religious diversity, fault lines may be exploited by online falsehoods.
You get completely fabricated stories spreading. For example, June of last year, that cat and dog meat were mixed into a marinade of satay in Geylang Bazaar. And that's a relatively minor example, though it can make a lot of people very angry. But you have more serious examples from other countries. People can and have targeted specific sections of populations. They can target specific sections of our population using falsehoods based on race, religion.
Thirdly, the Home Affairs and Law Minister also said Singapore is an attractive target as it's a key strategic node and a key player in ASEAN.
What we say on regional issues, international issues, carries weight. So if we can be influenced and swayed, then foreign interests can be advanced through us.
And to recommend measures to combat online falsehoods, the Select Committee will study and report causes and consequences of deliberate online falsehoods. It will be chaired by Deputy Speaker Charles Chong and comprise 7 members of Parliament from the ruling party, 1 from the opposition and 1 nominated member of Parliament. The 10-member committee can also decide whether to call for public feedback.
I ask that the Select Committee be appointed to examine this problem thoroughly, consult as widely as possible, and come up with countermeasures on how we can protect Singapore against this threat.
Mr. Shanmugam also said the spread of online falsehoods can undermine trust in the democratic process and institutions, and that state and non-state actors may be involved.
No reason to believe that we are immune. Ultimately, if left unchecked, such deliberate spread of online falsehoods can undermine trust in the country, in its institutions, in democracy, and affect social cohesion.
The Home Affairs and Law Minister added that the government has been studying the problem for some time.
Well, meantime, Communications and Information Minister Yaacob Ibrahim has expressed support for the motion. In response to the Law Minister's speech, he noted that Singapore has fallen victim to foreign interference through falsehoods and misinformation before.
These include the English daily, The Eastern Sun, which closed down in 1971, that had received millions from a communist intelligence agency from Hong Kong to publish news items of the communists' choice. Dr. Yaacob said Singapore was fortunate to nip these in the bud early. But he also noted that as technology continues to push the frontiers of reality, it will be easier to create false information and damage societies. But he emphasized that technology itself was not the problem.
We are not against technology. Technology is agnostic. It is the people and actors abusing technology to spread online falsehoods that are the problem. And indeed, technology has improved our lives in many ways. And while technology can be used to divide societies, so too can it be used to bring people together.
Dr. Yaacob explained that Singapore is vulnerable to this because it is a small and multiracial society and has one of the highest smartphone penetration rates in the world. He noted there are ongoing efforts by the Media Literacy Council and the National Library Board to raise public standards of media literacy.
While public education remains our first line of defense, it is not enough. Mechanisms need to be put in place to respond swiftly to this falsehood. So we need an inclusive approach to address this issue holistically, involving not only the public sector, but the private and people sectors too. And we need a broader national conversation about this issue.
Dr. Yaacob added the committee will allow the government to tap on the collective wisdom of the community and stakeholders.
7 MPs and 4 nominated MPs spoke in support of the establishment of the Select Committee as they recounted examples, both local and foreign, of falsehoods being spread online deliberately. While no opposition MPs rose to speak on this, all 80 MPs present in the House voted in favour of the establishment of the committee.
In 2007, a picture of halal pork allegedly being sold in NTUC fair price outlets went viral on the internet, which caused a stir. The supermarket chain responded publicly to say it was a hoax and made a police report over it. As such, one MP called for stronger fact-checking and self-regulation by social media sites to combat such false news.
There is much room for improvement, especially one reason is that the algorithm in these systems often bring attention to posts. If the post garnered 10,000 likes and shares, then surely it must be real, right? Wrong. And this is where numbers provide false safety. There's very little wisdom in crowds, or at least very little, that we ought to take at face value.
Nominated MP Ganesh Rajaram said that in the event fake news triggers a nationwide panic, mainstream news media outlets can help to ensure that accurate information drowns out fake news.
Newsrooms of today can do a lot more. One could make the argument that most Singaporeans get their news in real time from platforms like Facebook, because even mainstream news media today get their news and videos from Facebook. But I believe that this can change with more robust and credible news gathering and reporting.
MPs also said that such a committee is crucial as falsehoods are a tool to radicalize individuals with extremist sentiments.
We need to be aware of the consequences when an online space is hijacked or influenced by players with certain motivations or agenda. In our multi-religious and multi-ethnic Singapore, which has enjoyed decades of stability and harmony, such falsehoods should have no place as someone with the intention to stir up emotions, and they can do it easily using religion.
However, some MPs raised concerns that these measures could affect free speech online and silence the critics of the government. In response, Minister Shanmugam assured the House that the precise form and ambit of any measure, including legislation, will be considered carefully by the committee.
My own view is that combating falsehoods is not contrary to the exercise of freedom of speech. In fact, keeping falsehoods out of our discourse enables freedom of speech to be meaningfully exercised.
Mr. Shanmugam said the Select Committee could examine this issue in depth and consult as widely as possible.
The 10-member Select Committee will be decided when Parliament's Committee of Selection meets tomorrow to pick the members. The 8-member Committee of Selection is headed by Speaker of Parliament Tan Chuan Jin. The other members in the Committee of Selection are Minister in the Prime Minister's Office Chan Chun Sing, Education Minister Ong Ye Kung, Environment and Water Resources Minister Masagos Zulkifli, Culture, Community and Youth Minister Grace Fu, Senior Minister of State for Finance and Law Indrani Raja, and Members of Parliament Cedric Fu and Lau Tia Kiang. Now, fake news is a global epidemic, so let's take a look at how Southeast Asia is tackling the issue at hand. While Singapore could well become the first country to introduce a standalone piece of legislation, most countries across the region have existing laws that allow governments to crack down on false information or fake news. Malaysia, for one, has a Communications and Multimedia Act and an agency. It has also launched a new website, serbanania.my, which translates to actually or in fact. Now, its key aim is to help debunk fake viral stories. And over in Indonesia, President Joko Widodo has declared war on fake news. And just this month, his government launched a new cybersecurity agency to scour the web for fake news, hate speech and extremist messages. And at the other end of the spectrum, Myanmar currently has no fake news legislation, but its government, led by Aung San Suu Kyi, has spoken out against fake news, saying it's helping terrorists and distorting facts about the Rohingya crisis. Now, over in the Philippines, President Rodrigo Duterte has made clear that he is against fake news legislation. His reason? it's against freedom of expression. Interestingly, Mr. Duterte echoes critics and rights groups who have cautioned that fake news laws could threaten media freedom and become tools for governments to control free and open content on the internet.